Assalamu alaikum and good morning, my dear students. Hope you are doing well. So I welcome all of you to today's biology class. So in the previous class we discussed about the respiration and also about the transportation in human beings. Right. So today we will be discussing about the transportation in plants and also another important process, that is about the excretion. Okay. Transportation in plants. In the case of plants, you know that they will transport different materials like food, water and minerals from one place to another. That means they will collect the raw materials, they will absorb the raw materials from the soil with the help of the roots, and they will transport it to the leaves in order to prepare the food. And after preparing the food by the process of photosynthesis, they will transport it into the different parts of the body like stem, roots, etc. So in order to transport these materials, plants have two types of conducting tissues. They are called xylem and phloem. Xylem tissues carry water and minerals, whereas phloem tissues carry the food prepared by the plants. So the water and minerals dissolved will move from the roots of the plant to its leaves through the two kinds of elements of xylem tissue called xylem vessels and tracheids. The xylem consists of xylem vessels and tracheids, and the water and minerals enter the roots by diffusion. You know the process of diffusion, right? It is the movement of water molecules from the region of higher concentration to the region of lower concentration. That means here the water will move from the soil to the roots, and also then due to the transpiration, the suction force will help in the upward movement of water and minerals. Do you know what is transpiration? It is the evaporation of water from the leaves of a plant. Okay, the evaporation of water from the leaves of a plant is called transpiration. So in the leaves, you know that there will be stomata. Through the stomata, the water will be losing in the form of vapor. Okay, so the continuous evaporation of water from the cells of a leaf creates a kind of suction which pulls up water from the xylem vessels. You know that xylem vessels will be a continuous column from the roots to the top of the plant. It will be a continuous column. So when there is a suction pressure from in the xylem vessel, it will draws the water from the root, that is from the below of the plant to the upward. Okay, this is how the upward movement of water and minerals takes place in the plants. So next we will look at the transport of food and other substances. You know that these food and other substances in the plants are transported with the help of phloem. Leaves make the food by the process of photosynthesis. Right. Then the food made by the leaves will be in the form of sugar. The sugar made in the leaves, that is the food prepared, will be in the form of sugar, that is glucose, and this made in the leaves will be loaded into sieve tubes of the phloem tissue by using energy from ATP. And water now enters into the sieve tubes containing sugar by the process of osmosis due to the increased pressure in the phloem tissues. Okay, so due to the increased osmotic pressure in the phloem tissue, the water will enter into the sieve tubes. And this high pressure produced in the phloem tissue moves the food to the parts of the plant having less pressure in their tissues. Okay, so the food will move from high pressure to the low pressure areas. So this allows the phloem to transport food according to the needs of the plant. So this is how the plant transport the food materials with the help of phloem from the leaves to different parts of the plant body. Next we will discuss about an important life process, that is about the excretion. What do you mean by excretion? You know that it is the process of removal of toxic waste from the body of an organism. And excretion takes place in plants as well as in animals. Different animals have different arrangements for excretion which depend on the constitution of the animal. So in the case of unicellular organism, the waste products are removed from the cells into the surroundings by the process of diffusion. And in the case of multicellular organisms like humans, the waste products are removed by specialized organs. So in the case of humans, we have an excretory system. So which is the excretory organ in the humans? The kidney are the main excretory organs of the human body. So the excretory system of human beings consists of 2 kidneys, 2 ureters, a urinary bladder and an urethra. You know that every person has 2 kidneys, right? The blood in our body is constantly passing through our kidneys, and the renal artery brings in the dirty blood into the kidneys, and the function of kidneys is to remove the poisonous substance called urea and other waste salt and excess water from the blood and excrete them in the form of a yellowish liquid called urine. So thus kidneys clean our blood by filtering it to remove unwanted substances present in it, and the cleaned blood is carried away from the kidneys by the renal vein. And the ureters, you know what is ureters? Ureters, which is from there will be one from each kidney. It will opens into the urinary bladder. Ureters are the tubes which carry the urine from the kidneys to the bladder, and urine will be stored in the bladder. The bladder is a bag which stores urine till the time we go to the toilet. That means till the time we urinate, the urine will be stored in this urinary bladder. And the urethra is a tube. The urine collected in the bladder is passed out from the body through this urethra. Then what about the structure of kidney? You know that each kidney will be made up of a large number of excretory units called nephrons. The nephron has a cup-shaped bag at its upper end which is called Bowman's capsule. The lower end of Bowman's capsule is tube-shaped and it is called a tubule. And the Bowman's capsule and the tubule taken together will make a nephron. The Bowman's capsule contains a bundle of blood capillaries, as we have seen in the case of lungs. It will be having a bundle of blood capillaries, and they are called glomerulus. Okay, one end of the glomerulus will be attached to the renal artery, which brings the dirty blood containing the urea waste into it, and the other end of the glomerulus comes out of Bowman's capsule as a blood capillary, surrounds the tubule of nephron, and finally joins a renal vein. So the function of glomerulus is to filter the blood passing through it. Only the small molecules of substances present in blood like glucose, amino acids, salts, urea and water etc. pass through the glomerulus and collect as filtrate in the Bowman's capsule. And the large molecules like proteins and blood cells cannot pass through the glomerulus capillaries and hence remain behind in the blood. The function of tubule of nephron is to allow the selective reabsorption of the useful substances like glucose, amino acids, salts and water into the blood capillaries. But the waste material like urea remains behind in the tubule. It does not get reabsorbed into blood capillaries. So we can understand that the useful materials like glucose, amino acids, salts, water etc. will be reabsorbed by the kidney, whereas the waste materials like urea will be excreted from the kidney in the form of urine. So now you understood that kidneys are vital organs for our survival, right? And what will happen if the kidney in our body is not working? Our body will accumulate poisonous waste like urea and other nitrogenous waste in our body, right, which can even lead to death of our body. So in the case of kidney failure, there is a possibility of an artificial kidney which will remove the nitrogenous waste products from the blood through the process called dialysis. I think all of you might have heard the process dialysis, right? It will be useful in the case of most patients in the case of their kidney failures. So artificial kidneys contain a number of tubes with a semi-permeable lining suspended in a tank filled with dialyzing fluid. So this fluid has the same osmotic pressure as blood except that it is devoid of nitrogenous waste. So what will happen? when the patient's blood is passed through these tubes. During this passage, the waste products from the blood pass into dialyzing fluid by diffusion. Then the purified blood is pumped back into the patient. Like this is similar to the function of the kidney, right? But there is a difference, because there will not be reabsorption, because the useful materials in the blood will not be reabsorbed by the artificial kidney. Okay. So next topic is the excretion in plants. How the process of excretion will be taking place in the case of plants. You know that the main waste products in the plants will be the carbon dioxide, oxygen, right? And you know that in plants the gaseous waste products produced during this respiration, that is CO2, and the photosynthesis, during the photosynthesis oxygen will be produced, and this will be removed through the stomata. And excess water is also removed through the stomata by the process of transpiration. Okay, so some waste products are stored in the leaves and removed when the leaves dry and fall off. And some other waste will be stored in the vacuoles of the cell. You know that plant cell will contain vacuole, which is a specialized structure for collecting the waste, right? So some other waste will be stored in the vacuoles, and some others will be stored in the as gums and resins in the old xylem cells, and some other waste will be removed through the roots. So these are the process of excretion in plants. So that's all about today. So in today's class we discussed about what all things? The transportation in plants, right? And in that we discussed about the role of xylem and phloem in the transportation of different materials across the plant body, and also then we discussed about another important process called excretion, the role of kidneys in the excretion, and the process of excretion in human beings and also in plants, and also about what the artificial kidneys, right? So I think all of you have understood the topics. So if you have any doubts, we will meet in the live classes. That's all. Thank you.